Good morning. I wanted to come on this morning and give you a list or my top 5 breakfast, lunches, and dinners, all 3 of those time permitting. But I also wanted to give you the list of my top websites that I actually follow for recipes and things. I wrote them down last night. I went through and just kind of made a quick list, a draft of my favorite websites, and I'll go ahead and give those to you now. And then I'll also go through and, like I said, give you my top favorite breakfast, lunch, and dinners. I'll also, in another video, do my favorite like fat bombs or appetizers, desserts, which I try not to eat a lot of at all. So anyway, my favorite obviously is dietdoctor.com. That is, it not only has a wealth of information, but they also have a huge supply, for lack of a better word, of recipes and things like that. So they also have a cooking show on there called Cooking Keto with Christy. She is actually another one that I follow. I have utilized her blog, which is Life is Better with Butter, and also her YouTube channel, which is, of course, Cooking Keto with Christy. She is amazing, and her foods are easy. They're simple. I mean, there's always more complicated recipes, but for the most part, I don't like complicated. I like things just to be simple, easy, quick, nothing, no fuss, no muss is what I say a lot. So she's another one of my favorites. I also utilize Low Carb Yum a lot, Wholesome Yum, Low Carb Maven. Those are probably my top 3 as far as Facebook and recipes. I was looking at my bookmarks last night, and it's so funny. I was going through my list and I was highlighting each one of the ones that I have made and really enjoyed, because there's a lot on there I haven't made yet. I mean, I have a lot of bookmarks, and most of what I have on there is Diet Doctor, Wholesome Yum, Low Carb Yum, and Low Carb Maven. I also have used recipes from I Breathe, I'm Hungry, which is a really good resource. She's got some killer stuff on her website. And one of the recipes that I have made was from Peace, Love, and Low Carb. I like her website a lot as well. So my top breakfasts are, number 1, I put, and these aren't really in like 1 to 5, being 1 being the best. They're just in order. I mean, these are just ones that I know that I have made and I really enjoyed, and I'll give you the ideas of how I tweaked each one if I did, and what I used instead of what the recipe called for, and stuff like that. So the one I have, number 1, was called Buttery Asiago baked eggs, and these are so easy. They came from Low Carb Yum. I will, if I can, I believe, like I said, I'm still new to YouTube, so I'm thinking I can put these links and everything in the comments below, so I will do that before I upload it. Excuse me. So yes, Buttery Asiago baked eggs, and these are simple. You get little ramekins, and I put mine in the oven, but you just basically put butter in the bottom, like I think it's a tablespoon or 2 in each one. I use 4 because I have 4 ramekins that are a really good size. It's probably the ones that are about that big. And I put 2 eggs, and then I think it's a tablespoon of butter, or excuse me, tablespoon of Asiago cheese in each one. So it's 2 eggs in each ramekin, 1 tablespoon of butter in each ramekin, and then a tablespoon of Asiago cheese in each ramekin. And for me, Asiago cheese is a little bit much. It's kind of in your face, in my opinion. It's very good, but in this particular dish, it's pretty potent in my opinion. And I do like Asiago cheese. When I used to eat bagels, that was my favorite. But so I would probably, when I make these again, I would probably use maybe Parmesan or something like that. But you can pretty much experiment with whatever you want to do. You can use your favorite cheese. I have a friend whose husband loves Limburger. Oh, woo, no. I can't get past the smell to even get it near my face. So Limburger's out for me. But he loves it. And, if she ever made this for him, that would probably be something he would use. But again, you can use whatever you want. You can add spices. I just basically make this as is. I might add a little salt and a little pepper, but normally I will just follow the recipe unless it's something that I know I want to add a little bit of spice to. You can make them spicy. I don't do spicy. I'm a wuss. Can't do spice. Sorry, my husband could eat a ghost pepper and be like, oh, this is fabulous. No, I look at a ghost pepper and So that's number one. Number two, I made low-carb pancakes with almond flour and coconut flour, and these came from Wholesome Yum. These are amazing. I try not to eat a lot of almond flour and coconut flour, especially now because I'm in my weight loss phase. So once I get into the maintenance phase where I've reached my goal and I can start adding more carbs gradually to see where I need to be, then I, would probably eat, keto breads and keto biscuits and things like that, pancakes, more often. But there actually is I'm trying to remember which one it was. It was either Low Carb Yum or Wholesome Yum. They had a pancake recipe that's basically cream cheese and eggs. And I've actually had those when I was first starting out, and I do like them. They taste fine, but they're just too runny for me. I like my pancakes to be thicker and fluffy. So that's just an option. At least there's an option like that out there. So that's really good. And as far as syrup, I made a low-carb, keto-friendly syrup and that was also from Wholesome Yum. And it's a really, really good syrup. It tastes like syrup, although for me, I know this sounds crazy because coming from someone who really enjoys sweets, I thought it was too sweet. So I have found in making desserts and other things that if I can most of the time lessen the amount of sugar or the amount of sweetener that we use. And I use Swerve, and I've also got monk fruit sweetener. I haven't used it yet. I got that from Tina at work. And so I will try that. But there's even been times where making desserts, I could omit the sweetener completely. So for me, I tend to put less in even what the recipe calls for. When I made this the first time, I've only made it once, I should say. When I made this syrup, I went, by the book. I did it as the recipe called for. And next time I would probably cut the sweetener in half, if not more. But that's just me. You do what works for you. Also, I do normal just eggs and bacon. I'll fry some eggs in butter and then cook up some bacon. Done. Voila. And I also like to use scrambled eggs with feta, spinach, like the leaf spinach in the bag, and mushrooms and onions and green peppers. So I kind of mix all that together in the pan. I sometimes will add extra cheese. I think most of the time though, feta is good for me because I like the flavor a lot of feta and eggs together. And then there was something on Peace, Love, and Low Carb. She had these things called Everything Bagels. Excuse me. And I made these once and they were so good. I haven't made them in a long, long time, but sometimes I miss toast with my breakfast. And so I made these bagels, and what I like to do with these is make an egg sandwich with my bagel. So I actually didn't make these as everything bagels. She put all kinds of stuff on them. I made them plain, and then before I stuck them in the oven, I used, yep, you guessed it, Asiago cheese. I put them on top and then baked them with that, and they were so good. Easy, super, super easy. That's one of the things I love about eating this way is it's all very easy. So I'm at 9 minutes, so I may have to do this, but I may just go through, I don't know. Anyway, lunches, chicken salad for lunch, and this was from a recipe called Moms Without Answers. Incredible. Probably the best chicken salad I have ever eaten in my life, and I made it as the recipe called for. I've also used a recipe called crack slaw egg roll in a bowl. This is the funniest name, but it is so good. And for someone who adores Chinese food and really misses it, this was a good alternative. And my friend Jen at church actually had tried this and loved it, so it inspired me. And it is from a recipe or a website called JenniferBanz.com. So that's one you could look into. There's also a Cobb egg salad, which is egg salad made with stuff that's in a Cobb salad. And I've made this once. It is from LemonTreeDwelling.com. Absolutely phenomenal. I really enjoy normal egg salad, but this one took it to a whole new level. And for me, this is the only way to eat egg salad now. So I also use a tuna salad recipe that I got from, of all places, BettyCrocker.com, but I tweak it. I don't use regular mayonnaise. I actually use vegan mayonnaise, and recently I have discovered vegan mayonnaise that is made with avocado oil, and it is so good. Oh my goodness, it is so good. Again, thank you, Tina. Dinners. The very first dinner I ever made on keto was jalapeno popper chicken. This recipe came from Aunt Bee's, oh gosh, I forgot to write it down. Hang on a minute. Aunt Bee's, hang on, let me find it, because I wrote it, I recopied it, because that's what I do. It is from AuntBeesRecipes.com. So this recipe was absolutely delicious. Jason was nuts over this one. And I got the idea, the jalapeno popper part that you put over the chicken. I thought, man, this would make a really good dip. Well, I made it for Thanksgiving and took it to my in-laws' house. And I was told that I was not allowed to come back without it. So I made it for Christmas as well. I made it at work. I used, because I can't do spicy, so I made two different ones. I made a spicy one for Jason, and then for me I made one with tamed jalapenos, and that worked out wonderfully. It was so good. The flavor was there, and it wasn't spicy at all. I could handle it. So that's a really good one. Cheesy Ranch Chicken and Broccoli Casserole from CaseyTrenum.com. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. It's Trenum. That one was another one of my favorites, and I believe that one might have been recipe number 2, and I've made that a couple of times as well. Very good. And I made that one as the recipe called for too. I didn't tweak that one at all. I also made chicken parm with from Tasteaholics. They used the pork rinds, which in the South, they are like almost a food group. So that was the breading. Absolutely fabulous. For Jason's, though, he does not do pork rinds. He doesn't like the flavor. So I actually made a couple of pieces for him with panko breadcrumbs, or panko, or whatever you call it. I don't know if it's breadcrumbs, but panko. And then on mine, I did, obviously, the pork rinds. I crushed them up and rolled them, and it was just wonderful. So that's a good one as well. And there's also something, I'm not a big pizza fan, but Jason likes pizza. So Wholesome Yum has it's called Fathead Pizza Crust. And this pizza crust is so easy. I'm one of these people that I'm so afraid of. Well, I shouldn't say afraid. I don't like to try making breads and things because it seems so complicated. But this crust is super easy, and it is so good. And we just used an organic pizza sauce that we found at the grocery store here. We put on pepperoni and feta, and because Jason makes his own homemade pizza, but we had never used a homemade crust until now. So he basically did his homemade pizza with this crust, and it was really good. And the last one we made, or my last one of my favorites, we've made this one several times. It's beef fajitas from Pioneer Woman, and I actually tweaked this one as well. I didn't cook the steak like she suggested, with the fancy schmancy lines on it or whatever from the grill. I basically just cut mine up and fried it, and then did my peppers and onions and things like that. I don't tend to use red and orange and yellow peppers because they are higher in carbs. I tend to use green peppers only because they are the lowest. So that's just me for right now. Sometimes I'll add a red or whatever, but most of the time, to keep my carb count down, I will use just green. So, and I try to be careful with onions too. Anything that's higher in carb, anything that's grown underground is higher in carbs, and onions, of course, are that. So I tend to be careful with those too. But you know, I really enjoy onions and I love that flavor. So, and that's another thing as far as carbs, I don't count net carbs, which is your amount of carbs minus the amount of fiber in the recipe. I have always counted just carbs, because for me, and you do what works for you, whatever works for you is fabulous. This was just me personally, but I always just count normal carbs. I don't do the net carbs. So anyway, those are my top. Those are my some of my favorite recipes that we've tried. There are many more that we haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to recipes for keto, which is unbelievable, because there's an alternative for everything. There's keto friendly pies and ice cream and cakes and cookies. I mean, everything, breads, pasta. There's even a pasta one that I want to try. And so I'll do that one here in the future. I'm hoping to maybe make that one this weekend. Super easy, no big deal. And I'll let you know on a future video how that went. So again, I'm going to try to put in the comments below the links to all these different websites that I follow. If you guys ever have any questions or anything you'd like for me to discuss on here, feel free to comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderfully blessed day. And I thank you and I love you and God loves you. Have a great day.